Do you struggle to understand people when you're having a conversation in English?
I'm scared when I don't understand the other people. It's really hard to understand British accent. Like when I ate dinner with my family, I couldn't understand their speaking and they couldn't understand my speaking.
You have to understand that it's about communication. It doesn't matter how many times you ask, how many times you don't understand it.
When we think about language anxiety, we often think about the fear of speaking. But that's only one part of a conversation. We also have to listen.
In today's episode of Beating Speaking Anxiety, we'll look at what to do when you don't understand the other person. Hello and welcome to Beating Speaking Anxiety. In this podcast, we help you understand speaking anxiety and fight your fears of speaking English. I'm Georgie, an English teacher and presenter at BBC Learning English.
And I'm Hanan, a bilingual correspondent for BBC Arabic and presenter of the Arabic educational series Dars.
Find a transcript for this episode to read along on our website, bbclearningenglish.com. So we heard from some learners at the start of the programme about the difficulty they have understanding English speakers, particularly native English speakers, and it's a very common problem.
Yes, let's hear from Lenka. Lenka is now an English teacher in the UK, but she's also experienced difficulty understanding people in the past.
English is not my first language, so I learned English at school. I started when I was young, but I didn't travel until much later. So first time I actually went abroad, and it was London, and no one speaks slowly, no one takes any notice, so that was a shock how much different the language is in the classroom to the real world.
The English Lenka learned in the classroom wasn't very helpful in real-life situations. And when you're travelling in a foreign country, that is really stressful, especially when things go wrong.
I almost wanted to cry because we went to the airport, missed the connecting flight. So trying to sort it out, didn't really understand what they were saying. So I was shocked really, because I thought I was good at English, but I couldn't actually communicate.
I completely understand what Lenka is saying about trying to understand people in London. When I first moved here, I found it really difficult. Because, the day-to-day language is fairly different from what I'd learned at school. So, for example, when I meet someone I know, the first thing I say, "How are you?" or maybe, "What's up?" as I used to hear in American movies. But after moving to London, I'd run into a colleague and they'd say, "You're right." And in my head, I'm like, I'm fine, what's wrong? Also, natives speak so fast. So sometimes I had to guess what they were saying. If I was waiting to check out at a shop, for example, I remember, especially if I was returning or exchanging an item, there were times I just catch one word and try to guess what they were saying. And I'm not going to tell you how many times my guess was actually wrong.
Yeah, that can be really stressful. And even if you feel confident in your English and you can speak well, if you can't understand what the other person is saying, it's really difficult to do anything. Like with Lenka, she missed her flight at the airport and she couldn't understand the staff to try and sort the problem out.
To understand more about the difficulty lots of learners have understanding English in these real-life situations, we spoke to Erhan Aslan, Associate Professor of Applied Linguistics at the University of Reading.
When a student doesn't have enough English language proficiency, they cannot really perform real-life tasks like ordering coffee in a coffee shop or opening a bank account on the phone. Some students may have listening anxiety, like they can't really talk on the phone because they have more difficulty understanding people in this really natural, fast-paced speech.
Erhan says that difficulty understanding fast, natural speech can hold learners back. The problem is, learners need to practice using English to improve, but a few bad experiences can increase their anxiety.
These kinds of instances can accumulate and create this barrier in how they use language, how they hear language, and how they encounter language in different situations.
According to Erhan, bad experiences can accumulate. This means they can collect together inside the mind of a learner. Irham believes that part of the problem is that learners don't hear a wide enough range of voices speaking English.
One main issue, I think, when that anxiety happens is when your students are not familiar with different accents. And when you look at their experience, they're always exposed to one variety of English, and that tends to be the American English because of the movies, the pop culture, music, and that sort of thing.
Watching films, TV, and hearing American English voices is a great way to improve your English. But it might not help you that much on a street in the UK, as you know, Hanan.
Totally.
Where you'll hear lots of different English accents. And of course, English is spoken in many other places around the world, and everyone uses it a bit differently.
In real life, students don't always communicate with native English speakers, right? So they also need to develop strategies and abilities to understand different accents of the world. So that's also very important.
So trying to watch and listen to things in English from different places can help prepare us for real-life English conversations. But Irhan says we should also think about the kind of things we watch and listen to.
I always tell my students, or told in the past, always listen to like talk shows, because in talk shows, people use more natural flowing language. As opposed to movies and TV shows, it's more scripted.
Films and TV dramas are great, but they're scripted, so they don't always give you the best idea of how natural conversation works. Think about how you talk on the phone in your own language. It's probably very different to what you've seen in the films.
Interviews are always more natural to me, so I would always say listen to them and see like how they speak, how they like pause, how they show hesitation, these different kinds of functions.
At BBC Learning English, lots of our podcasts and programmes include natural speech. Try Real Easy English for a whole conversation in simple English. Or listen to 6 Minute English to hear clips from BBC programmes featuring interviews from around the world.
Georgie, I have one more question for you. If someone finds themselves in a situation like Lenka did at the airport, where they need to speak in English to fix a problem, but they're struggling to understand, what would you suggest?
Well, the first thing is to try to stay calm. This is easier said than done. But don't be afraid to ask someone to speak more slowly. Say, English is not my first language. Can you speak more slowly and clearly? Or try this. Sorry, I didn't understand that. Can you say it again? If there's one word you didn't understand, say, what does this word mean? And in the end, Lenka was able to sort her flight out. And she says that even though it's hard, you just have to keep trying.
You have to understand that it's about communication. It doesn't matter how many times you ask, how many times you don't understand. It doesn't have to be perfect, because communication is not perfect. So you have to just keep going and get the result.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Beating Speaking Anxiety. You can find more resources to help with the fear of not understanding people on the BBC Learning English website. Visit bbclearningenglish.com.
In the next episode, we'll be talking about how to improve your public speaking in English. See you then.
Bye-bye.